The massive alien ships hung silently above Earth's atmosphere, casting long shadows across continents. Their metallic surfaces gleamed with technological perfection, a stark contrast to humanity's seemingly fragile infrastructure. Commander J. Park stood in the United Earth Defense Center, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien vessels. The Galactic Confederation had arrived without warning. Their first communication was less a greeting and more a brutal ultimatum. Humanity would surrender, integrate, or be eliminated. The alien representative, a tall crystalline being named Coral Vex, transmitted a message that echoed across every communication channel on the planet. Inhabitants of Earth, the translation software rendered the alien's words in a cold, mechanical tone. Your technological capabilities are primitive. Your social structures are chaotic. Your species represents a potential threat that must be contained. Surrender is your only rational option. In the command center, Lieutenant Una Lee's fingers danced across multiple communication panels. She was tracking the alien transmission's origin, analyzing its quantum encryption, probing for any weakness. Her team of young communication specialists worked with a precision that betrayed their nervousness. J. Park knew this moment would define humanity's future. He had spent decades preparing for potential extraterrestrial contact, but no simulation could have prepared them for this precise scenario. The aliens hadn't come to negotiate. They had come to subjugate. "They're scanning our planetary defenses," Una reported, her voice steady despite the tension. "They believe we have no meaningful resistance." The irony wasn't lost on Park. Humans had always been underestimated. Throughout their history, they had transformed challenges into opportunities, turned limitations into strengths. This encounter would be no different. Outside the defense center, cities remained surprisingly calm. Years of global media and shared human experiences had prepared people for extraordinary scenarios. Social media channels buzzed with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and an underlying current of defiance. Coral Vex's holographic representation continued its monotonous declaration of human insignificance. Each word was calculated to break human spirit, to demonstrate the futility of resistance. But human spirit was not something easily measured by alien algorithms. In military bases around the world, soldiers checked equipment. Scientists reviewed data. Engineers began converting civilian infrastructure into potential defensive systems. The entire planet seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting. Park understood their strategy immediately. The aliens wanted a psychological submission before any physical confrontation. They believed technological superiority translated directly into inevitable victory. They were about to learn a fundamental truth about humanity. Numbers and technology meant nothing against adaptable, determined beings. "Prepare communication response," Park ordered, "but do not transmit weakness. Show them we understand their message, but we are not intimidated." Una smiled. She had been waiting for this moment. Her team began constructing a response that would be both diplomatic and subtly provocative. They would demonstrate that humanity comprehended the aliens' technological superiority, while simultaneously suggesting that comprehension did not equate to surrender. The alien ships continued their silent vigil. Massive energy signatures indicated fully charged weapon systems. They were ready for any potential resistance. What they didn't realize was that human resistance wasn't about traditional warfare. It was about survival, adaptation, and an almost irrational hope. As Coral Vex finished its ultimatum, a simple response began transmitting from Earth. No grand speeches, no emotional pleas. Just a clear, concise message that would become legendary in galactic records. Message received: negotiate or depart. In that moment, the first seeds of a conflict that would reshape galactic civilization were planted. The Galactic Confederation had found an opponent they had never encountered before, a species that refused to be categorized, controlled, or easily understood. Humanity's first encounter with an alien civilization was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same again. The first alien landing parties descended on major metropolitan areas, expecting minimal resistance. Their advanced exo-armor and energy weapons suggested total superiority. They were wrong. Lieutenant Seok Choi watched from an underground command center as the first alien units touched down in Seoul. Their massive metallic frames moved with calculated precision, scanning buildings and streets with sophisticated sensors. What they didn't realize was that every street, every building had been transformed into a potential trap. Human technology wasn't just defensive, it was adaptive. Industrial zones became labyrinths of technological disruption. Traffic signals, electrical grids, communication networks, all were instantly repurposed into defensive systems. The aliens had studied human infrastructure through satellite data, but data couldn't capture human creativity. Unile's technical team had prepared something special. As the alien units advanced, municipal networks suddenly came alive. Traffic lights began flashing random sequences, creating visual disruptions that confused alien targeting systems. Underground utility tunnels became unexpected battlegrounds. The first alien squad experienced something they had never encountered: unpredictability. One moment, they were scanning a seemingly empty street. The next, construction equipment moved autonomously, creating barriers. Electrical transformers released controlled electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disabled their advanced scanning equipment. Seok understood psychological warfare. The goal wasn't to destroy the aliens immediately, but to demonstrate that humanity was not a passive target. Each alien movement was anticipated. Each technological advantage was immediately countered. In downtown districts, ordinary citizens became unexpected participants. Delivery drones were quickly reprogrammed as reconnaissance units. Smartphone networks created real-time tracking systems that mapped alien movements faster than their own advanced technologies. The aliens had expected a quick, surgical operation. Instead, they found themselves navigating a living, breathing defensive network where every system could potentially become a weapon. Their sophisticated AI struggled to process the constant changes. One alien unit attempted to neutralize a communication tower. Before their energy weapons could activate, the entire structure transformed. Automated defense mechanisms deployed, redirecting the incoming energy back towards the attackers. The precision was surgical, the response instantaneous. Military bases around the world watched and learned. Each alien engagement provided new data, new understanding of their technological capabilities. What seemed like isolated resistance was actually a global, coordinated response. Seok observed the first alien unit retreat. They had lost 3 of their advanced combat machines to what appeared to be random urban infrastructure. Their communication channels buzzed with confusion. Humanity was not behaving according to any predictable pattern. Yuna's team continued monitoring. They weren't just defending, they were learning. Every alien technological signature was being analyzed, decoded, understood. What the aliens saw as a primitive defensive response was actually the first stage of technological adaptation. The global media captured snippets of the encounters. Smartphone videos showed impossible scenarios. Construction cranes moving like living weapons, electrical systems creating protective barriers, ordinary vehicles becoming autonomous defensive units. In military command centers, strategists realized something profound. Human technology wasn't just about advanced hardware. It was about adaptability, about turning limitations into unexpected strengths. The aliens had calculations. Humans had imagination. By nightfall, the first wave of alien landings had been completely disrupted, not through massive firepower but through a network of intelligent, adaptive responses. They had entered expecting submission and found something entirely unexpected. A species that didn't just resist but transformed resistance into an art form. Seok lit a cigarette, watching the live feeds. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was just getting started. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had viewed humans as a singular, predictable entity. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was its diversity, its ability to transform, to adapt, to survive. One thing became crystal clear: this was not going to be an easy conquest. Not by a long shot. Dr. Tae Ho Kwan stared at the alien technology scattered across his laboratory. What others saw as complex machinery, he saw as a puzzle waiting to be solved. The fragments of alien communication devices and weapon systems were about to become humanity's greatest advantage. Global research centers had transformed overnight. Universities, military labs, and private research facilities formed an unprecedented collaborative network. The traditional boundaries of scientific disciplines disappeared, replaced by a singular mission: understand and adapt alien technology faster than the invaders could respond. Unilee's communication team worked alongside quantum physicists, mechanical engineers, and computer scientists. They discovered that alien technology wasn't just advanced, it was fundamentally different. Their computational systems used quantum entanglement in ways human scientists had only theorized about. Within weeks, the first breakthrough emerged. A small research team in Tokyo managed to reverse engineer a fragment of an alien communication module. What seemed like impossible technology became a template for completely new computational approaches. Traditional silicon-based computing gave way to quantum adaptive systems that could learn and modify themselves in real time. Military systems began changing rapidly. Drones that once required human pilots now became self-organizing networks. Each device could communicate, adapt, and respond to changing battlefield conditions faster than any previous technology. The aliens had introduced humanity to a new level of technological possibility, and humans were learning at an exponential rate. Dr. Kwan's team made a critical discovery. Alien technology relied on complex prediction algorithms that assumed predictable responses. Humans, by nature, were anything but predictable. They began designing systems that deliberately introduced controlled chaos into technological responses. Manufacturing centers around the world retooled. 3D printing facilities that once produced consumer goods now created adaptive military technologies. Ordinary materials were transformed into complex defensive systems. A smartphone could now become a sophisticated communication jamming device. A commercial drone could become an advanced reconnaissance unit. The global scientific community worked with an intensity never seen before. National boundaries disappeared. Researchers from China, Brazil, India, Russia, and the United States shared information in real time. What the aliens saw as a fragmented species was actually a deeply connected global intelligence network. Quantum computing labs discovered something extraordinary. The alien technology contained inherent weaknesses. Their advanced systems assumed linear problem-solving approaches. Human researchers began designing computational models that could think in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Military strategists realized they were witnessing more than just a technological revolution. This was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligence could work. Adaptive systems that could learn, modify, and respond faster than any predetermined algorithm. In research facilities, ordinary materials were being transformed. Carbon nanotubes became adaptive armor. Graphene-based systems created energy absorption technologies that could neutralize alien weapon signatures. What seemed like science fiction became practical technology in months. The Alien Confederation, monitoring Earth's technological development, began to realize something unsettling. Humanity wasn't just resisting, they were evolving. Each piece of alien technology introduced became a learning opportunity, a chance to understand and then surpass existing technological limitations. Tai-Ho Kwan understood the deeper implication. This wasn't just about creating better weapons. This was about demonstrating that technological intelligence wasn't about predetermined capabilities, but about adaptability, creativity, and the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. By the third month, human technological capabilities had advanced more rapidly than in the previous decade. The aliens had intended to showcase their superiority. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping technological giant. The research team celebrated small victories. Each breakthrough wasn't just a scientific achievement, it was a statement. Humanity would not be conquered. They would adapt, learn, and ultimately transform any challenge into an opportunity. As night fell over the research facility, Dr. Kwan looked at the transformed alien technology. What was once a symbol of potential destruction was now a blueprint for human innovation. The technological revolution had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. Admiral Sung-Min Park studied the alien communication patterns with a precision that went beyond military strategy. Psychological warfare wasn't about destruction. It was about understanding and manipulating the enemy's fundamental weaknesses. The alien confederation operated on a rigid hierarchical system. Their communication networks assumed absolute obedience and linear information transfer. Humans saw this as an opportunity, not a limitation. Every intercepted transmission became a potential weapon. Yuna Lee's intelligence team began constructing elaborate communication traps. They didn't just intercept alien messages, they carefully crafted responses that would create internal doubt and confusion. Small inconsistencies were introduced into alien communication channels, slowly eroding their confidence in their own command structure. The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. By analyzing subtle communication patterns, human researchers discovered that the alien confederation had deep-seated fears about internal betrayal. They had evolved in a society where absolute loyalty was the primary survival mechanism. Human teams began creating false communication streams that suggested internal conflicts within alien command units. Carefully manufactured messages implied potential rebellions, strategic disagreements, and leadership challenges. Each message was designed to introduce microscopic cracks in their psychological armor. Military strategists realized that physical battles were secondary. The real war happened in communication channels, in the subtle manipulation of information and perception. The aliens had sophisticated technology, but they lacked the human capacity for psychological complexity. In orbital communication zones, human teams created elaborate digital mirages. Fake transmission signatures suggested entire alien squadrons were considering defection. Manufactured intelligence reports hinted at potential internal investigations against high-ranking commanders. The alien confederation's communication networks began to slow down. Their decision-making processes became increasingly cautious. Each transmission was now analyzed multiple times, creating bureaucratic delays that paralyzed their strategic responses. Sung-Min Park understood the deeper game. Humans weren't trying to completely destroy the alien communication systems. They were systematically introducing doubt, creating psychological friction that would eventually consume the alien confederation from within. Intelligence specialists worked around the clock. They studied alien linguistic patterns, cultural communication structures, and hierarchical behaviors. Every piece of intercepted data became a potential psychological weapon. What seemed like random communication interference was actually a carefully constructed psychological assault. The global human network became a living, breathing intelligence machine. Social media analysts, linguistic experts, computer scientists, and military strategists worked in perfect synchronization. Each department contributed to a massive, adaptive psychological warfare strategy. Alien command units began experiencing unprecedented communication challenges. Their supposedly impenetrable networks were being subtly manipulated. Messages arrived with slight inconsistencies. Communication protocols developed unexpected delays. Trust became their greatest vulnerability. Yuna's team discovered something profound. The alien confederation's technological superiority came with a significant psychological weakness. Their advanced systems assumed predictability. Humans introduced controlled chaos that their systems couldn't easily comprehend. Strategic communication centers around the world transformed ordinary technologies into psychological weapons. Satellite networks, internet infrastructure, and communication systems became adaptive platforms for introducing calculated psychological disruptions. The real genius wasn't in destroying alien communication networks. It was in making them question their own systems, their own leadership, their fundamental understanding of reality. Each transmitted message became a potential psychological landmine. By manipulating communication channels, humans were fighting a war that the aliens couldn't understand. They weren't just resisting, they were fundamentally challenging the alien confederation's perception of reality. Admiral Park watched the developing strategy with careful satisfaction. Humanity had discovered something powerful. In the complex landscape of interstellar conflict, psychology was the most sophisticated weapon. The alien confederation was about to learn a brutal lesson. Technological superiority meant nothing against a species that could turn communication itself into a weapon of unprecedented complexity. The psychological warfare had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The final confrontation wasn't about massive weapons or destructive technologies. It was about demonstrating an evolutionary potential that the alien confederation could never comprehend. Global Coordinator Daniel Armstrong stood in the United Earth Command Center, watching the holographic displays that tracked alien fleet movements. The past months had transformed humanity from a seemingly fragmented species into a unified, adaptive intelligence network. Alien command units began experiencing total system failures. Their communication networks, once considered impenetrable, now resembled broken communication channels. Each transmission carried subtle psychological disruptions that created massive internal conflicts. The transformation happened gradually. Human scientists had done more than just understand alien technology. They had reimagined technological potential. Ordinary systems became adaptive networks that could learn, modify, and respond faster than any predetermined algorithm. Jin Wu, Kang led the diplomatic response team. Their strategy wasn't about total destruction, but complete psychological recalibration. They demonstrated that humanity's strength wasn't in technological superiority, but in adaptability, creativity, and unexpected response patterns. Satellite networks transformed into living intelligence systems. Each communication channel became a potential psychological weapon. The aliens discovered that humanity wasn't a single entity, but a complex, interconnected intelligence that could respond in ways their computational models couldn't predict. Military strategists had realized something profound. This wasn't a traditional war of destruction. It was a demonstration of evolutionary potential. Humanity was showing the alien confederation that technological advancement wasn't about predetermined capabilities, but about continuous adaptation. Research facilities around the world worked with unprecedented collaboration. Universities, military labs, and private research centers became part of a global intelligence network. National boundaries disappeared, replaced by a singular mission of species survival and technological transformation. The alien confederation's leadership began experiencing a fundamental crisis. Their technological models suggested total victory. Reality presented something entirely different, a species that could transform challenges into opportunities faster than any computational prediction. Quantum computing labs discovered breakthrough technologies that fundamentally changed technological understanding. Materials once considered simple became adaptive systems capable of complex responses. A smartphone could become a sophisticated communication network. A commercial drone could transform into an advanced reconnaissance unit. Daniel Armstrong understood the deeper strategy. Humanity wasn't just resisting, they were demonstrating a new form of intelligent response. Each alien technological introduction became an opportunity for rapid evolutionary adaptation. Communication channels began showing something unprecedented. The alien confederation's internal networks started breaking down. Their rigid hierarchical systems couldn't comprehend the fluid, adaptive intelligence that humans demonstrated. Jin Wu's diplomatic team began transmission sequences that went beyond traditional communication. They weren't just sending messages. They were introducing complex psychological disruptions that challenged the alien confederation's fundamental understanding of intelligence and communication. The transformation happened across multiple levels. Technological systems became adaptive networks. Communication channels became living intelligence platforms. Military strategies became fluid, unpredictable response mechanisms. Alien command units realized they were facing something beyond traditional conflict. Humanity had transformed technological confrontation into a demonstration of evolutionary potential. Each challenge became an opportunity for rapid adaptation and learning. Global research centers celebrated small victories. Breakthrough technologies emerged daily. What seemed like impossible scientific achievements became practical implementations. The aliens had introduced humanity to a new technological landscape, and humans were learning at an exponential rate. StoriesHFY final transmission from the alien confederation carried a subtle acknowledgement. They had underestimated humanity's potential. What they saw as a primitive species was actually an evolutionary intelligence network capable of transforming challenges into unprecedented opportunities. Daniel Armstrong watched the final holographic displays with calm satisfaction. Humanity had done more than survive. They had demonstrated that true technological potential wasn't about predetermined capabilities, but about continuous adaptation, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit of transformation. The war was over. Humanity's real victory had just begun.